Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel that you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today's video is just going to be another test of my camera, but I've decided that this one will be a little bit more meaningful. I don't want you to expect anything too cinematic because I still haven't got my editing program set up, or at least I haven't got my computer set up to where I can use the editing program or learn how to use it. So basically it's just going to be me walking around with a camera, and whatever I shoot is what's going to get uploaded to YouTube. Now, I want to talk about some of the projects I've had going on here since I stopped posting videos about 6 weeks ago. The last thing I did, I think I said that I was going to continue to work through the winter, something I've never been able to do before because of my health. And I really had good intentions, and it looked like I was actually going to pull it off because my body will just shut down around the middle of October because of the weather. And this year I got all the way to the middle of November without a problem, and it rained for about 3 days. And I've talked to other people that have arthritis, and they've told me that they've experienced the same thing. Your joints get so stiff that you can't do much of anything, and that's where I'm at. So this project, along with all the other projects I'm going to show you, basically shut down around 6 weeks ago. I had some friends, some YouTube subscribers that have come down before a couple of years ago, and they came down again with the intention of building this coop because I've had this pressure treated lumber sitting in my yard forever. I had talked to them about using it to build a coop, and I never did it, so they felt like they were willing to come down and do that, and they did. And then they left it for me to do the finishing touches. So I've gone around and put doors and hinges and hooks and things like that. I put the hardware cloth in, and I'll eventually do a video about this when I can, talk about it in more detail. But like this, let's see if you can see that. This is the egg boxes, nest boxes, and we can open them up up here in the porch to reach in and get the eggs out. And if you notice, it's got hardware cloth in there. Well, this panel that's covering the hardware cloth comes out just by releasing that latch. And down here it's the same thing. I've got these panels all around it. All of them cover up spots that are in hardware cloth. This particular area is just a box. It's not really connected to the rest of the coop in any way. But because it's a brooder, we're just going to brood baby chicks in here. When they feather out and they can tolerate living without a light bulb, then we'll move them into the other part of the coop, and eventually I'll have this little yard fenced in. Once they graduate, they'll go into that, and eventually they'll be put in with the rest of the flock. I've still got my sawhorses set up so that I can do the finishing work on this, and I promise you I haven't been out here in 6 weeks. But it's all pressure treated lumber, so if it gets rained on, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. Now as we come out here, I'll show you my mower. And I said in one of the last videos I made that I was going to end up having to buy another $375 mower. So I went around to get one, and I found this one used at a lawnmower shop. It's the exact same one that I had before, although it doesn't look like it. There's about a dozen different manufacturers that sell the same exact thing, and they put their own label on it. But this one had a bad ball head. The ball head is the little piece in the front there that the string attaches to. But I started it at the shop, and I ran it for a while, and when I turned it off, I checked the oil looked as clear as water. So I knew I had a good engine, and I also knew that even though the ball head on that one was ruined, I had just ordered a new ball head for this one when the engine blew up. And I don't know if you can see that. I guess you can. This has got a lot of detail in this camera. See, I think that's the side that's blown up. Yeah, there's a piece of the, I don't know if you can even see that. There's a hole inside the block and a piece of the connecting rod hanging out. But fortunately, when I was taking the parts off of this to put onto that, I measured the shaft, the length of the shaft, the width of the shaft, the bolt pattern to hold the engine to the mower, and it seems to me that this engine has all the right measurements, the exact same measurements as the engines that they sell at Harbor Freight, the really cheap ones, like $125 engines. So I've got 3 of these mowers, 2 of them need engines, and that's all they need, although this one is going to need at least the ball part of the ball head replaced. And I think I'll have 3 running mowers for, you know, hardly any money, about $125 a piece. So we're going to go on around now, take a look at another project I did with the money I had left over from not having to buy a new mower. This trailer that we're going to show you is has been sitting halfway buried in my yard, although it wasn't really my yard anymore, because when the trailer got buried, it pretty much put an end to me cutting the grass there, so I had trees and stuff growing through it. But this trailer hasn't had wheels on it in 5 years. And so I had to get wheels, $120 for 2 wheels and tires. I had to get taillights because these are dry rotted. New wiring kit. I had to get a new tag. Tag's been off of it for 5 years. That one says 11/17. The other one says 12/12. So that's 5 years that this trailer has not had a tag. And I had a little bit of trouble initially because I couldn't find the part number on this, the serial number for this trailer to get the tag. But the lady at the courthouse was willing to work with me. This piece right here, I had completely forgotten that I wrecked this trailer at one time and had to weld a new plate on there because I bent the tongue. And I think that the serial number is on that portion of the tongue that I did that welding on. So there's to get to the serial number, you have to cut all that metal off, which ain't gonna happen. All right, here's another thing that's been going on as far as projects are concerned. I got a big old pile of wood chips in. I said before that I couldn't get them anymore, and that's what I thought, because I have asked, every time I see somebody cutting the trees off from the power lines, I ask them if they can bring the wood chips, and they'll say, well, we're not allowed to do that anymore. But a crew came through and they cut all the branches away from the power lines on my street, and I went over and talked to them, and they said they would bring them here. So I don't know if I don't really need to even do videos about this. There's a guy, and I think his name is Paul, that has a channel called Back to Eden, I think. And he does this all the time, and that's like his thing, and people go there and watch his video. He's got way more subscribers than me. And basically, his whole deal is that he gets those wood chips, he covers his yard in them, and he's got the most beautiful garden anywhere. And he never has to use any artificial fertilizer, and he doesn't even have to water his stuff, which I think most of the people that watch my videos are familiar with him. Now over here, one of my friends asked me to take some pictures of his chicken tractors so he could put them on Craigslist, because he's not hooked up to the internet. And this is one of them, and he asked me if I wanted it because it had a bunch of broken parts in it. So this is another project we're going to be doing. I plan on filling this thing up with wood chips about 6 inches deep and gluing all these busted joints back together. Some places it can't be glued, but I think I can just jam, like that can be. But like over here at the bottom, you can see that's broke. So there's, you know, probably what I'll have to do is take a piece of PVC and stick it there with a broomstick in it, going into that other piece, so that that it'll all hold together. And putting the wood chips in will pretty much keep any predators from digging under there and getting to whatever chickens I keep in this thing. But he says he doesn't want me to actually run the Craigslist ad on these until spring, because nobody's going to want them until then. So I'm holding off on putting the ad up. But the other ones he had were really beautiful, because this one here's been damaged, and you know, he's done other things to it, and it's one of his first ones, so it's got some rust on it. The other ones look really, really beautiful, but it's not ideal, but it'll do the job. All right, so what else do we have going on here? I can't think of anything, but I will walk you around to where the trailer has been parked for the last 5 years, so that you can see. Oh, and here's something I got to show you. This is my brand new wheelbarrow, which is something else I bought with my extra leftover money from the lawnmower project. And I had a wheelbarrow that I found on the side of the road maybe 20 years ago, and it rotted out. But I found another one that was rotted out on the side of the road about a year later, and I was able to get enough parts to build a wheelbarrow. Where I got my wheelbarrow out this year, first off, I couldn't put air in the tires. It wouldn't hold air, just like the trailer. And also the entire tub was rusted out, so that it wasn't connected to the wheelbarrow anymore. And I actually thought about going down to Harbor Freight and getting a wheelbarrow wheel, and then getting a piece of wood to screw into the base of this. And for 80 bucks, it just seemed like it was better to get this, which will last me till I die, than to struggle to fix something that probably still would need to be replaced next year. So that's what we're using. And I'll do a video. I will do one little quick video about these wood chips later on, mainly just to teach you what kind of tools you need. That there pitchfork is the only thing I've ever found that will successfully get into those wood chips and can be used to fill that wheelbarrow up. Now I'll go over here, like I said. Here's my old wine bottle collection. My neighbor wanted me to save all these wine bottles because he makes homemade wine. And I haven't heard from him in weeks and weeks and weeks. And so I went over and saw him the other day and talked to him, and he's in really, really bad shape health-wise. He's in his 80s, and so, you know, anything that he gets is going to be bad. But what he's got is really bad, so he's not doing any more wine. I'm probably going to just have to put all those in the recycle bin. Here's where I had that trailer parked, so you can see how high everything is. And when I pulled the trailer out, a lot of the stuff that was growing through it went with the trailer. So, you know, just imagine. And there's a hole there where the tire had sunk down into the ground. Well, I guess there ain't no hole there. There was a hole there. Either my chickens have scratched it or the rain made it cave in. And there's some chicken scratch. They're loving these wood chips. They climb all over this stuff. Oh well, that's about it. We'll go ahead and wrap this up in the traditional way. If you do not want to survive, don't listen to me.